Hey, I'm Betek, and this is my quick guide on how to build Fischl. Fischl is coming! With the Unreconciled Star event, MiHoYo is giving all players a copy of Fischl for completing the requirements that you can find here. What's so great about Fischl? She's one of the strongest and most flexible 4-star characters in the game. You can build her in two ways, damage carry Fischl or support Fischl. And you'll also be getting her free. For reference, I'll refer to normal attack chain or normal attacks as normals and skill multipliers as multis for the rest of the video. Fischl makes a great physical damage carry due to her quick normals, reasonable attack multis, and passives that increase her damage. At level 6 of her normals, she can do 405% damage in a single attack chain in just over 2.5 seconds. For comparison, Xiangling can deal 383% damage in a single attack chain in the same amount of time. Side note, that's not including the Crescent Pike proc damage for Xiang, which essentially counts as extra attacks in her normal attack chain. If you want to know more about why the Crescent Pike is completely broken OP, you can check out my last video. Fischl has two passives that increase the damage of her normals at Constellation 1 and Constellation 6. Both constellations add an extra percentage of attacker's damage to Fischl's normals. C1 adds 22% of attacker's damage when her E skill is not on the field, and C6 adds 30% of attacker's damage when it is on the field. Not everyone is lucky enough to have C6 Fischl though, which is a very large boost to her damage since you can have her Raven out pretty much 100% of the time. However, even without this, she's a good physical damage carry. She's carried me without C6 up to floor 12 in Abyss. Now that you know what makes Fischl a good damage dealer, let's have a look at what weapons and artifacts work for this build. If you have Skyward Harp, use it because it's the best late game damage bow due to its passives and base attack. Otherwise, in order of personal preference, it would be Skyward Harp, then Rust or Viridescent Hunt, then Compound Bow, then Slingshot, then all other bows. If you built a low critical rate and high critical damage build, the Royal Bow would actually be extremely strong. I think it would probably be at least as strong as Rust or Viridescent, but I don't have it to test it out. In terms of Rust versus Viridescent, R1 Rust is a very big boost in damage compared with other bows. However, it loses out to Viridescent Hunt in terms of utility and AoE damage. While I found that my R1 Rust did more single target damage than R1 Viridescent Hunt, as soon as I needed to clear multiple enemies with AoE, the Viridescent Hunt was significantly better. It's also worth noting that the Viridescent Hunt benefits more from Refine 5 than Rust does. Rust goes from plus 40% normal attack damage to plus 80% normal attack damage, while Viridescent is essentially adding extra attacks every 10 seconds at Refine 5, doing a total of 640% AoE damage with a vacuum effect. That's an extra 1.5 normals chain worth of damage every 10 seconds, and you can only do 4 of them in that time. That said, you may not want to spend your BP weapon chance on the bow if you've someone to use the one-handed BP sword, but that's a different discussion altogether. You want to boost Fischl's ability to do physical damage as much as possible. My preferred set bonuses are 2-piece Gladiator for 18% attack and 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry for 25% physical damage bonus. If you're unable to farm these 5-star artifacts to get this combo, you can also run 2-piece Berserker or 2 or 4-piece Martial Artist. These set bonuses are very strong, but they fall off in the late game because they can't drop as 5-star artifacts. For artifact main stats, I prefer to run a percentage attack timepiece, percentage physical damage goblet, and crit rate or crit damage hat. This is to spread your plus percentage damage over as many different types of stats as possible to avoid diminishing returns as much as possible. It's worth noting that in the late game, crit is probably the strongest stat, and the more you invest into it, the stronger it becomes, relative to the other types of damage. For substats, the priority is crit rate or crit damage, then percentage attack, then energy recharge or flat attack. You may be wondering, why wouldn't I use a percentage attack goblet instead of a physical damage goblet, so that Fischl's electro damage benefits from the extra attack? Well, according to my calculations, swapping a 5-star physical goblet for a 5-star percentage attack goblet results in a loss of damage just under 20%. Note that the difference will be dependent on your Fischl's other stats. So the question becomes whether a loss of physical damage is worth the gain in electro damage. Not including Oz's summoning damage, he does 1509% damage in 10 seconds, with one attack every second. In that time, Fischl would do 1620% in physical damage with her normals. This means that a majority of Fischl's damage is physical, but only just. It would be possible to determine whether the attack build or physical build is better with complicated maths, or with testing on a DPS dummy if it existed. However, the result would be an almost negligible difference when confounding factors are accounted for in actual game scenarios. These are things like movement, missing shots, or mistiming Oz. This was also my experience when I tested it in-game. So really, you could do either, and you wouldn't lose out too much. Now, there is one easy solution to this problem, and that's using the support Fischl build. With support Fischl, your goal is to maximize her electro damage since all of her support skills are elemental, including her C6 passive. You can build her with elemental mastery for reactions here, but I think that's a waste, personally. Her strength lies in the fact that Oz will scale his damage off her stats, and her C6 will cause any character's attacks to add an extra 30% of Fischl's attack as electro damage per hit. With Oz out, and 30% attack as damage, you essentially have 2 characters worth of damage output while you're on another damage carry. I think that support Fischl is where Fischl truly shines, because many characters can fulfill the damage carry role, but few characters can support as well as Fischl can. Stringless is the best Fischl support bow due to the fact that it increases Oz's damage by 24% with its passive effect at Refine 1. If you don't have a Stringless here, you can use a Favonius Warbow, or you can use pretty much any other bow by selecting it based on its base attack and substat. Try to avoid bows that have a passive which ramps up, since you'll most likely be swapping on and off support Fischl without using her normals. The aim is to maximize attack and electro damage here. For main stat, I would go with percentage attack timepiece, percentage electro goblet, and crit rate or crit damage hat. Why do we not build straight attack here if the skill tooltip says that the damage is based off attack? Because it's all electro damage, and because it can all crit. Here we don't need to worry about Fischl doing hybrid damage, so percentage electro will clearly be better than percentage attack goblet. For substats, the priority is crit rate or crit damage, then percentage attack, then energy recharge or flat attack once again. And that's it. Fischl is a simple but flexible character who can fit into almost any team by being a physical damage carry or electro support. While she's a great physical attacker, she is, in my opinion, an even better support because of her unparalleled support passives. I have a fun build in mind that I've been theory crafting that I want to share with you involving Fischl coming in the near future. If you've seen my previous videos, you may even be able to work out what it is. As always, if you have any questions or want to give me some feedback, you can leave a comment or come and find me live streaming at twitch.tv/bear_tech. Thanks for watching, take care, and take it easy.